Hello, I'm Jim Morningstar, Director of In Wellness. Increasing awareness of synchronistic events in your life, that is, coincidences that seem to have no cause and effect relationship. Again, our examination of thinking demonstrated how we live in a predominantly left brain oriented culture, one that values logical, linear, mathematical approach to life, accepting C as a result of adding A and B. Unless the causal connection can be established between things, we are all too often quick to dismiss them as coincidental and hence meaningless. Synchronicity, a term coined by the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung early in the last century, is often confused with synchronous, meaning happening at the same time. Synchronicity is the occurrence of meaningful coincidences that have no apparent causal relationship, yet happen more often than would be expected by random chance. For example, you're thinking about a friend you haven't seen in ages. At that very moment, she calls. Or you are humming a tune to yourself as you turn on the car radio and you're amazed to hear the same tune playing back at you. Or you dial a wrong number, only to discover that the person on the other end is a long-lost acquaintance. Jung and others have found that people start seeing these connections when they become open to the concept of synchronicity. The idea of synchronicity gets strong scientific support from Bell's theorem. Proposed in 1964 and verified in 1972, it was pronounced the most profound discovery in science by physicist Henry Stape in a 1975 federal report. Bell's theorem was anticipated by Einstein in 1935, but his implications were too uncomfortable for even him to accept it, causing him to state, "God does not play dice with the universe." The theorem proposes that everything in the universe is connected in an indivisible whole. In experiments based on the theorem, it was demonstrated that if paired and identically charged particles fly apart over distances of light years, and the polarity of one is changed by the experimenter, the other's polarity would be changed instantaneously. The particles remain mysteriously connected. What this implies is that, as physicist Gary Zukav puts it, there's no such thing as separate parts. All of the parts of the universe are connected in an intimate and immediate way previously claimed only by mystics and other scientifically objectionable people. If Bell's theorem is correct, and most experiments do bear it out, it helps to explain many previously questioned psychic occurrences. It doesn't seem logical that a parent will hear his or her child crying when the child is 500 miles away, or that I could know what your home looks like when I've never been there or talked to you about it, or that Jim would develop a boil on his knee on the same day that his dad injured his knee on the job, or that psychic healer Olga Worrell could diagnose an illness of a person she has never met, or cause a tumor to disappear simply by placing her hands on it, or that psychic Ingo Swann can significantly raise the temperature in a graphite cube by merely concentrating on it. If, despite their distance or lack of apparent logical relationship, event A is connected to event B at the subatomic level, is it too difficult to make the leap to say that ESP, psychokinesis, remote viewing, psychic healing, and miracles are merely everyday manifestations of an underlying connectedness? The skeptics among us may dismiss these happenings as mere coincidences. For others, they are meaningful indication that everything is somehow related. Rupert Sheldrake, a plant physiologist from England, proposed a hypothesis that has passed many tests so far. Once accepted by the mainstream, it will likely become as important as Darwin's theory of evolution. His hypothesis of formative causation described in a book by the same name, proposes that all entities, living organisms, and inert substances as well, are each part of a field that connects them in some way with every other member of their species or type. He calls these fields morphogenetic, which literally means giving rise to structure or form. Morphogenetic fields do not obey the laws of thermodynamics, and they operate irrespective of distance. For example, if a mouse in England learns to run a maze, this mouse, in effect, creates a morphogenetic field for the solution of the maze, and therefore sets up a form or structure which allows mice all over the world to run the same maze with greater ease. The field becomes stronger with each mouse that completes the maze. This model explains the existence of instincts and habits which have never been adequately explained, and once again reinforces our connectedness with everything in creation. If you accept this relatedness, you are immediately presented with alternatives that may significantly affect your life and health. As we've already reported, in the early 1970s, neurosurgeon Norman Shealy began documenting cases in which psychic healing methods succeeded in both diagnosis and treatment where traditional medical practice had failed. These examples suggest that numerous illogical alternatives often succeed where logical approaches have failed.